Okay, now in the last lecture I have showed you how we can add style sheets to our Gatsby project. Now our project currently isn't looking very well at all, so I would want to show you how we can add Bootstrap and react-bootstrap to our project. So if you do not know, react-bootstrap, it's a framework which uses Bootstrap and you can add it very easily to your React project. As you know, Gatsby is built upon React framework, so we can use that in our project. So basically, React Bootstrap has components here which we can use to create our pages and to add to our project. So in order to do that, let's install React Bootstrap and Bootstrap as well. So what you want to do is first stop your project if you're currently running it by pressing Ctrl+C. Okay, so now that we have stopped our project, we would want to type npm I react bootstrap and also bootstrap. Make sure you have the correct names, and after that type --save in order to save those packages in our package.json file. And now we're going to wait a little bit for those packages to be installed. Okay, now that we have React Bootstrap and Bootstrap installed in our project, we would need to add Bootstrap CSS in our Gatsby browser.js. So we would want to remove our global CSS and add the Bootstrap CSS. So what you want to do is type import, and there you would want to find your node modules, Bootstrap, dist CSS, and there you would want to import your Bootstrap CSS. Okay, and now we can go in our header and we're going to change it completely. Let's go ahead and inside our React Bootstrap website, let's see what components do we have. We have a nav bar here, which we would want to use. So basically what you need to do is just copy this and paste it in your React component. It's that simple. So go ahead and let's first delete our module CSS here, as we are not going to use it currently. And now we would want to paste that from React Bootstrap. Now we would want to import all of the nav bar, the nav dropdown. We would want to import them from React Bootstrap. So on top, type the import and open curly brackets and type navbar nav drop down. We also want our form and our form control, as you can see it here. And you would want the button to be imported from React Bootstrap. React Bootstrap. Those are basically our pre-composed React components that came along with React Bootstrap. So in our index file we have our header, but currently we are not providing any props here. It doesn't matter if you delete them or not, they are not going to make any changes currently, but let's delete them anyway. And let's open our local host here and run our Gatsby project. So type gatsby develop and wait for everything to compile. Okay, and now as you can see we have our header here that we just copied from our React Bootstrap. Now whenever you're building components in your project, there's a convention that would make it easier for you to distinguish whether or not this is a component or a page or something else. So we would want to name our header.js file to be with a capital letter as it's going to be easier for us to understand it's a component. And inside our header.js, we would not change anything. In our index.js, however, it has already automatically renamed the header here. So now let's see what warnings do we have here. So whenever you have image, don't forget to have an auth. So our alternative is going to be gatsby. This is going to be displayed if the image resource is not loaded. So let's see if we get another warning here. Compiled with warning header.js. There are multiple modules with names that only differ in casing. Okay, this error is very interesting. Whenever you have this kind of error, go ahead and check your pages for the imports. As you have seen, we have renamed our header.js file, and it has been automatically renamed in our index.js. However, in our test.js file, it hasn't been renamed. So if you rename it there, you're going to have a successful compilation with no errors whatsoever. Okay, now that I have showed you what kind of errors you might get into and how to fix them, let's go ahead and build our footer. So let's create a new component in our components directory, and let's name it footer.js. Now let's import React from React. And now let's create a functional component called footer that is going to be equal to an arrow function. And inside the brackets, let's create a footer. And inside our footer, let's create a div with the class name to be container. And inside here, we would want to have a span with the class name of text muted, and inside of it, let's type this is our footer container, for example. Okay, so let's export our functional component. Export default footer, and don't forget to put it inside your index.js file. So let's first import it, footer from /components footer. Okay, now let's just delete some of the unnecessary stuff here, and let's type footer, and let's create a new div that's going to be a container for all of our other stuff that we would want to display in our index page. So we would want to give this a class name to be equal to container. Let's type this is where our content will go. Okay, so let's take a look what we are currently having. Okay, now that we have our footer container here, we would want to apply to it some custom CSS. So in the previous lectures I have showed you how we can use module CSS, so let's do that here. First, let's create a new file which is going to be footer module CSS, and inside there let's create a footer class that's going to have a position relative. No, we're going to have an absolute position. It's going to be to the bottom of 0. The width is going to be 100%. The height is going to be 60 pixels, and the line height is going to be also 60 pixels, and the background color is going to be, let's say, F5. Okay, now that we have created our style sheet here, let's import it in our footer.js. So let's type import, and on top let's type footer styles from /footer module CSS. Now that we have imported our footer styles, let's give our footer the class name to be equal to footer styles dot footer. Okay, and as you can see, our footer container is on the bottom now. Okay, so let's stop here and we're going to continue in our next lecture.